I just got back from the First Omen, and let me just warn you, that movie had me shook to the core. Like, wow, there's some scary stuff in there. Welcome back everyone to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'll be reviewing the First Omen. I'm going to go into this, no spoilers, so I'll keep all the surprises for you guys when you do go see it in theaters. Before we get started though, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 600 subscribers, helps a lot. I'm going to read you guys a quick plot synopsis just so you know what the movie is about. A young American woman is sent into Rome to begin a life of service to the church, but encounters a darkness that causes her to question her faith and uncovers a terrifying conspiracy that hopes to bring about the birth of evil incarnate. Alright, before we get fully into talking about the First Omen, I do want to compliment the director. Her name is Arkasha Stevenson. This is some great direction by her in this, and this is, you know, I looked at her IMDb and supposedly this is like I wouldn't say this is her first movie, but you know, probably her second or third movie. I can't really tell on IMDb what are major films and what aren't, but this is a pretty major film for her. And sometimes horror is a very hard genre to direct. You got to get it right, but there's some seriously well-handed direction for a horror movie, especially about nuns, because I'm gonna say it again, this is a joke, but why are there so many nun horror movies? Why are we doing this? Why? Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, I guess Hollywood just has an addiction to nuns. I guess the nuns make a lot of box office money. But every time I see a horror movie about nuns, it makes me rethink why people are nuns. Let's just say that. I mean, I get it. It's just a movie, but seriously, there's some weird things happening with nuns in these movies. You got to really rethink your life if you're thinking about becoming a nun, because there's some weird things happening here. But yeah, I will say her direction was great, and this was my first Omen movie that I've ever seen. And you know, this is a prequel to, of course, The Omen, which came out, when did that movie come out? 70s? That movie came out a long time ago, but I didn't know that it was a prequel to the original Omen movie until like one day before I went to go see it. So that was a pretty big surprise to me. But then I like that I figured that out, because there is a little bit of cliffhanger leading into that first Omen movie. But yeah, I've never seen any of the other ones, but now after seeing this one, I'm like, I should go watch the other ones. Even though they're pretty old, I think they'll have a little bit of a sauce with them. And I think that, you know, I might appreciate the first Omen even more after watching this and after watching the other ones. Because this one was great. Like, holy crap. I didn't really get into my full review yet, but wow. The first Omen really knocked it out of the park. This movie actually, fun fact, it had an original rating of an NC-17 before being cut again, going back onto the cutting room, which is crazy. So supposedly they had to fight with the rating center for like months and months about where to get this movie down to. And after seeing it, I'm like, oh yeah, I believe it. And I'm like, I kind of saw the scenes where maybe they cut it down just a little bit because they didn't want to go too far on the imagery here, because I heard this movie is crazy and hard to watch, but I was more shook than I thought I would have been throughout many scenes. Like, even I had to cover my eyes. I was like this throughout the movie. I was like, I can't look at this. I can't. Because, you know, I do like horror movies a lot. I think that this genre can get really elevated if it's done right. But, you know, with gore and scary imagery, that's kind of like a no for me. It's kind of like, no way, Jose. I'm not watching that. But then, you know, I do watch it. I just cover my eyes a little bit. That's how I get away with it. And then I mean, I'd be like, is it okay to look at? Is it okay? And I'm like, open my eyes and I'm like, nope, gotta close them again, because some parts are just, no, some parts in this movie were like a no way for me. And there are some scenes in here, I mean, if you're a female, some scenes in here probably will irk you just a little bit. Some scenes in here probably won't. You probably won't want to watch that. They're the birth scenes in this movie. There's a couple of birth scenes in this movie, and a couple of I don't know if I want to call them sex scenes in this movie. Done with not you know, an animal, so it's kind of weird to be thinking about that. But yeah, some of the birth scenes in here just I couldn't watch, because it's just so gore. I mean, I wouldn't say it's gory because they probably had to cut it down, but what they originally had was probably even worse. But when you're dealing with, you know, birthing Satan and like Antichrist, it's like, nah, I must say, I'm not going to watch that. No, thank you. And when something starts crawling out of some area of a woman, I'm like, I'll close my eyes just a little bit. Thank you very much. That is a no-go for me. And I think that some women will not want to watch that. Some women will not want to have children after watching this, depending on their age. So be a little bit careful on that one. I don't know how that works, but There's a one scene in here where your character is watching a birth, and it cuts away, luckily. But man, what I saw was just not what I wanted to see. It's so weird, and it's so just the imagery here is actually insane, but really well done. And it's easily best horror movie of the year, as I said. No debate, no debate, no debate. I've been saying this, but go see this if you're a big horror fan. I think you'll have a very, I wouldn't say fun time, but very good time, because it's a beautiful film, beautifully done film. And I will say the funniest thing about this movie is that it doesn't have many funny things in it, but it is so similar to Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney that just got released, what was it, like 2-3 weeks ago? And they have a lot of similarities, like a lot of the dialogue's pretty similar, the plot's kind of similar here. I mean, this kind of follows like the Omen movies, but still, Immaculate is kind of like, what is Immaculate original horror movie now? Or are they copying some of the Omen movies? Like, I think that they're kind of copying over there, because there's a lot of similarities here. But I will tell you this movie is a lot better than Immaculate. It makes me want to lower my Immaculate score just watching this, because I'm like, Immaculate's not that special compared to this, because Immaculate, as I said, the first 2 acts are just really slow, just not a lot's happening until you get to that 3rd act. But here, you got build up, but you got also scary parts in the beginning, in the middle, in the end. And it's like build up to this big crescendo at the end. And it's like, what a great picture. What a great horror movie. I've been waiting for our first great horror movie. We've had some good ones, we've had some okay ones, we've had some terrible ones. I've been waiting for that great one, and we finally have it in April. Finally. After waiting so long, we finally have it. And the camera work here, I do want to talk a little bit about the camera work, because camera work in horror movies is really something that is special to me, because you can go for a lot of different camera angles in horror movies to make the scares more effective, which some horror movies don't do. They don't go for those extreme angles, extreme close-ups, but this one goes for some pretty good angles. But it is the close-ups that really made the camera angles, the camera work for me so well, because they freak me out. Like, there's some specific shots in here when you're zooming in on a top of a girl's mouth, you're zooming in on, you know, a birth scene, which I could have done without, but it's done so well that it elevates the scene even more. But there's also one of my favorite shots in the movie is at the end, in the 3rd act, when you're zooming in on this character's single eye, and you see the eye moving back and forth, see the lashes. That took up that shot took up the whole screen, and I was like, that's a beautiful shot. What a beautiful way to get the horror across, get the fear of the character, just go close up on the eye. What some amazing camera work done in this movie. Now let's talk about the cast. I'm just going to talk about my 2 big standouts, which the first one was Nell Tiger-Free as Margaret. This is probably the first thing I've ever seen her in. I didn't really recognize her name. I saw that she was in Game of Thrones as a character. I've never seen Game of Thrones yet, so I don't really know. But I really did love her performance here. A lot of great performances across the board. And I honestly felt her fear when things started to ramp up for her character, especially when you got to that 3rd act. I felt her fear. I was like, I don't want her to go through this, because this is just not, it's not something that you want a character to go through, especially because you start caring for her as she starts caring for other characters. Like, she's a very nice character throughout that first half, and when she starts to endure some of this scary stuff, you're like, ah, man, I just feel so bad for her. It's just so sad. And there's a twist that happens with her character. You're like, oh my god, I just feel bad for her even more, because Nell did such a great job as portraying this character. And another big standout for me was Nicole Cerese, I think that's how you say her name, as Carlita. I'm pretty sure that this is her first major role. I checked her IMDb. She has one other credit, but I'm pretty sure this is her first major role. Hopefully she gets a couple more roles after this, because I thought that she did great. She doesn't have a lot of big scenes and doesn't have a lot of, you know, dialogue moments, because her character is a very quiet and reserved character. Not really going to go in depth on that, you know, the reason why in this review, because I'm not going to go into spoilers. But, you know, her character is also a very scared character because of what is happening with her. But I think that Nicole really sold that part well, really did a good job at portraying that part, because I've seen interviews with her. She's pretty happy. She's pretty happy that she's in this movie. So she's not like that in real life. So she did a pretty good job acting like that in the movie. So I think that she did great. And I will say, the pace of this movie, I have an interesting story for you. Usually, I go into movies, I go into movies with checking the runtime, because I want to know what I'm going to be out of the movie. Of course you want to know that. And I went into this one I forgot to check it. I was like, I'm an idiot. I forgot to check it without knowing how long it was going to be. I guess it was like 1:30, because, you know, horror movies these days, they're like 1:30 to 1:45, pretty simple runtimes. But when I got out of it, I checked and it was 2 hours long. I was like, what? This is a 2 hour long horror movie? And that's odd. As I said, it's odd. Horror movies never, go beyond 2 hours nowadays. But let me tell you, I was hooked throughout this whole movie. It was paced very well with the shocking moments left and right, left and right. I turned left and right. I was like, wow, what a great pace for a horror movie. 2 hours long, great direction, great pacing on this one. And there is a little bit of cliffhanger at the end that could open it up to a sequel. And you're probably thinking, the sequel was Omen. But yeah, but there are characters in here like this telling the stories of Margaret and Carlita that you could go more in depth on. Maybe could have a sequel for, so maybe I would be open for that if they're gonna make that. But that also depends on the box office. So yeah, if you're a big horror fan, go see this, because overall, the First Omen really did work for me a lot. I was like, this is a great horror movie, easily the best horror movie of the year. Has a lot of style, has a lot of flavor. The camera work was intense. Some of the imagery in here knocked it out of the park, elevated the movie so much more, made me have to cover my eyes. I was like, I can't do this anymore. No, 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 no. It's one of those movies where you're like telling the movie to stop, no more. I don't want to see any of this. But yeah, that's what makes a horror movie great, when you have some of those actually freaky scenes that you don't want to watch. Some great performances here, and as I said, the direction was great. I'm open to a sequel if they're open to making one. So the First Omen, I'm gonna give it a strong 8 out of 10. The first 8 out of 10 horror movie this year. Very excited. We finally have a great horror movie. Looking forward to watch this one again, even if I have to close my eyes through a couple of scenes, because it's just a really well done horror movie with some great performances and some really great cinematography. A really beautiful horror movie too. But yeah, if you did see the First Omen, leave your thoughts down below in the comments. I'd love to talk to you guys about it. If you did enjoy my review though, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.